So in this video, I'm talking about the culture shock of traveling. And this is going to be some of my experiences that I've had traveling in different countries and just sharing. If anyone's interested in traveling, this is the video for you, because some places are wild. And I haven't even been to the crazy places. I haven't been to the Asia, like Thailand and all that. India, Africa, South America, Asia, like it's all such a culture shock because it's all so different. I'm in Europe, so I'm sure Europe's a culture shock to people that don't live here. And first of all, I want to talk about, so I've been to a bit of Africa, going to Morocco. I've been there once, and that was probably my biggest culture shock ever. Been to a lot of places in Europe, Spain, the Canary Islands like Tenerife, Gran Canaria, which is sort of Spanish in itself because it's sort of near there. Been to France as well. And I'm just gonna go through some personal experiences. So first of all, even Europe, there's so much different culture within the same continent. England to Spain, it's only 2 hours on the flight, but the culture is so much different. And it's not really a culture shock as such because I actually like it. Spain is so relaxed, it's so nice. It's a different way of living. And that's what fascinates me about other countries, to be honest. It's a different way of living and how different life is to England. I think England's pretty terrible. I've shared my opinions on it before. And I just love, for instance, when I went to Spain, how relaxed the lifestyle is, how different the culture is, how much more friendly it is. But then at the same time, the nightlife's crazy. People are crazy there. And I think like maturity levels are a lot different to say us in Britain. I think we grow up a lot quicker. And that's not necessarily a good thing. We have to grow up quick here. You get thrown into the big wide world very quickly in Britain, you know. In the UK, you finish school at 16. You're then thrown into the world straight away with like no experience, no preparation or anything. So it kind of makes you grow up and you're into work, and the whole system here is very depressing. It's very like, it's a struggle. So you sort of have to grow up quick being in the UK. Whereas places like Spain, you know, they finish school at 18. They have 3 months off a year for the school holidays, and it's very relaxed. And don't get me wrong, I would love that lifestyle, and that's why I'm considering moving out to Spain for a little bit, maybe a year, and working out there, because the lifestyle's so good. But at the same time, taking a step back and actually thinking about seeing some of the people that were my age that are Spanish, and seeing a difference in like maturity levels and how quick we've grown up, even though I don't like Britain at all, and I think everything's, you know, very depressing and very stressful because there's no time to relax here. It makes you grow up a lot quicker and mature as an individual a lot quicker. It makes you much more independent. Even though it's a bad thing, that's the one good thing you can take from it. I think most people from the UK, when they reach 18 or 20 years old, you know, they're very independent from like, obviously some aren't. There's a lot of idiots in the UK still. If you take like a rough estimate, compare them to, you know, a load of average 20-year-olds in Spain compared to a load of average 20-year-olds in the UK. I would say the 20-year-olds in the UK are a lot more, you know, mature. They've grown up a lot quicker, a lot more independent, because you sort of have to be. Whereas the Spanish lifestyle is fucking amazing. If I was a kid, I would love it. When school holidays are on, literally you're like a kid. These 18, 19-year-olds are living like we were at 12 years old. It's like school holidays, no work, no school, fun all day. It's kind of crazy to see. But then you see when you speak to them, they speak like they're children still. They're 18, 19, but you would think they're 13 by speaking to them. You're like, how are you coming up with this? How are you comprehending this? And you sort of look at them like they're young, because they're very young-minded because of the lifestyle. The lifestyle's amazing, but it makes you young-minded in that way. So that's not really a cultural shock as such. That's just like the difference in life. Some next stories when I went to Morocco, and that was a cultural shock. I went to Marrakesh. Beautiful place, don't get me wrong. The city's beautiful. Where we stayed was sort of in the middle of nowhere, so the hotel resort was really nice. Then you step outside, you open the gates from your hotel. It was literally like a desert. There was nothing around. That was kind of a cultural shock. But when we went into the city, it was crazy how different it is. I've never been so like baffled in my life. It's like we went back to the Stone Ages a little bit with the markets and the way of life and everything like that. I was very young at the time. I was like 14, so it was a very big culture shock for me. I was like, oh my god. I was a little overwhelmed, I can't lie. You just see some random shit, you really do. I remember walking through the markets, and it's crazy all the different shops and like market stalls people have. I remember a couple of them, how they would advertise it for their shop. They had just the heads of cows, chickens, sheep on a stick, just like at the entrance of their shop. Like that was a normal thing. You sort of look, you're like, what the hell? Like it puts you right off your food, and you see like chickens and shit just running about, getting killed, like ready to sell. Like there's no hygiene in Marrakesh, which coming from Europe, and even Europe itself, it varies, but coming from the UK, which hygiene's very strict, like you can't do much in the streets of London or in the UK because there's so many laws here, whereas even other places like France, next door to us, Spain, not far at all, they're different to us itself. So the UK is very different as a whole, not just Europe. Marrakesh had a whole different level. You know, you go to Spain, the hygiene and the health and safety and stuff like that isn't the same as the UK. That's kind of normal. And that's even Spain, that's up the road. But then Marrakesh takes it to another level. No health and safety, no sort of hygiene levels. Like, there's probably a fucking shit ton of cross-contamination, and like, I wouldn't trust eating stuff in Marrakesh, that's for sure. You probably get food poisoning. Actually, that's a story. I did get food poisoning. I'll get onto that in a minute. But the culture itself is sort of, every city's busy, so that's not really a culture shock. You go to London, you go to Madrid, you go to Marrakesh, busy lifestyle. That's normal. Another funny thing was, like, these markets are like little tunnels. They're really small, so it's kind of nice to go through, but it's very cramped. There's a lot of people, you can't really move. And then there's just a motorbike zooming past you left, right and center. You, like, pretty much, it's every man for himself. You're gonna get knocked over by a motorbike if you haven't got your wits about you. That was fun. Just seeing a different life, like, yeah, seeing all these sort of animals getting killed and shit. That wasn't very ideal. And then the snakes was the worst for me. The snakes and the monkeys, they just have like cobras, like very dangerous snakes, sort of, that they're just charming them and just messing about with them in the middle of the street. Like, these snakes could just turn on you in a second. I didn't really want to get close, but obviously people are surrounding the snakes and they're fucking charming the shit out of them. It's crazy shit, that's for sure. I was like, whoa. It's nice to see in a way. It's sort of sad to see the way of life a little bit, because what made me upset in Morocco, and I know this happens especially like India and Asia and Thailand especially, is you work really young and people just send their kids out like 4 years old to obviously try and bring back a little bit of money. And you see these like young kids doing shit that probably shouldn't be doing. And like, they're at 4 years old, you shouldn't be really roaming the streets by yourself or hustling and working for money. And it's sad to see in that way. And it's that hits you a little bit as a culture shock. It's like, wow, that's like, it kind of realizes how fortunate like I am as an individual when I see that. I'm like, okay, I don't like the UK, but I'm very blessed to have this lifestyle, whereas like people have it a lot worse than me, and you see it firsthand in places like Africa and Asia and stuff. So you see the crazy crap they get up to. But what I'm planning to do, because I want to travel the world, and I'm gonna 100%, I'm not gonna live in the UK. Whether I move somewhere for a year or go traveling and see so many different countries, that's happening at some point, and I will document the whole experience, that makes me so happy and motivated to carry on, because I can't wait for that to happen. But it's the classics. Everyone I know, my brother recently, he spent 6 months in Asia. He went to Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, the classics. I feel like everyone these days does it, and because it's a really good experience for one, but two, because of how cheap it is. I definitely would do it. I really want to go to Thailand one day, because I've seen like a couple friends have gone there. My brother, like I said, went there. They said it's an experience of a lifetime, you gotta do it. So I'm definitely gonna, but it's not up there as my like go-to. I'd rather see definitely America. I want to go see 100%. So I feel like America's amazing, and not only that, the culture shock isn't as different as say places like Africa, India and Asia. They're like a completely different way of living. I feel like America is sort of, compared to everything, America and Australia is obviously most similar to, you know, the UK. So, but the culture shock aside, I want to have the culture shock. I love seeing the different ways of life, so that doesn't bother me. But ever since I was a kid, America's always been up there. You know, California, New York, Florida. I want to see it all. Spain's a really random one for me, because it's up the road. I've been there, and up until this year, I'd never been bothered by it. Going there twice this summer and experiencing the way of life and like having a great time, it's really made me interested in the country. Not only do I want to learn the language, which I've been doing for the last month now, and I'm going to continue, and I'm going to be fluent in Spanish one day. Like, I'm going to dedicate my life to become fluent in Spanish, because I want to learn another language. Spain's beautiful, and I kind of fell in love with it when I was there. I was like, I want to be here. You know, I'm having such a good time speaking to so many different people, and just the way of life's so good. I was like, I want to be here. So I'm actually considering moving out there. We've been sort of coming out with a plan and like a strategy to how to actually make it happen. Why I want to do Spain, because I always, as a kid, and I still do, wanted to move to America, and that's not off the cards 100%. I still may move to America for a couple years one day, but the fact is, Spain's a lot easier to move to. This video's gone a bit off track. It's the culture shock of different countries. I'm talking about my plans to go to different countries. Sorry about that, guys. But to touch on the culture a little bit, it's one of those things that it's a big shock to your system sometimes, but at the same time, I feel like you've got to see it to appreciate your life a little bit. It's one of those things that sometimes stuff can hit a little bit, may upset you, and it's definitely a shock to the system. But at the same time, just like getting out of your comfort zone, I feel like you've got to do it. You've got to see the different cultures. But anyway, that's it from me today, guys. I hope you lot did enjoy this video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe down below, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.